Good morning, students. Today we'll learn about clauses. So the definition of clause is a group of related words that contains at least one subject and one verb and is used as a sentence or part of a sentence. What is clause? Clause is a group of words containing at least one subject and one verb. If you remember, in phrase we have discussed that it is a group of words without any subject and verb. So clause and phrase both are same, both are group of words, but the difference is that in phrase there is no subject and verb, but in clause there is subject and one verb. It's compulsory to have a subject and a verb. When a clause has complete meaning on its own, it can be used as a sentence, but when it has incomplete meaning, it is used as a part of a sentence. Now, clause can be of two types. One, if its meaning is complete, it can be called a sentence, but if its meaning is incomplete, then it will be called a part of a sentence. For example, he is a news reporter. Here you can see this is a complete sentence. That's why it is used as a sentence. She loves music. Again, it is a complete sentence. It's giving full meaning. But where he stays, now we need to add something before this sentence or after this sentence to complete its meaning. And as it needs something to complete its meaning, then it is not a sentence, it is part of a sentence. Next one, who lives next to my house? Again, some parts are missing. So here again, it is not a sentence, it is a part of sentence. Now there are two types of clauses, independent and dependent. Independent is also called main clause or principal clause, and dependent is also called subclause or subordinate clause. Different names are there. We can use any name. Now, what is independent clause? An independent clause has a subject and a verb and can stand alone as a sentence. Means, if there is a clause in which there is a subject and a verb and its meaning is complete, standalone means its meaning should be complete, then it is called independent clause. Like they work in marketing department. What products are they going to launch this year? The company didn't perform well last year. What shall we do? If you look at all the examples, you can find that all the sentences are complete. They don't need extra words to complete its meaning. Hence, all are called independent clauses. Next one is second one, dependent clause, which is also called subordinate clause. What is that? A dependent clause has a subject and a predicate, but it cannot stand alone as a sentence. So just opposite to independent clause, it has a subject and a predicate, it has a verb, but it cannot stand alone. Means if there are a group of words having subject and predicate, but it's not meaningful, if its meaning is not complete, then it will be called dependent clause. We will see some examples. Now there are three types of subordinate clauses. Means there are three types of dependent clauses: noun clauses, adjective clauses, and adverb clauses. Now let's see some examples. See, here are some sentences given. It is written, spot the incomplete sentence. Means if the sentence will be complete, then it will be independent clause, but if the sentence will be incomplete, then it will be called dependent clause. First one, the marble floors in the airport are glossy and reflect the light. It is complete sentence, so it is independent clause. If floors reflect the light, they are often made of marble. Again, it is complete, because airports often have marble floors which reflect the light. Now see, in this sentence we need something to add before these words, and as we need something, then it is incomplete sentence, and hence it will be called dependent clause or subordinate clause. Number 4, while robins are fighting in the garden, other birds eat the food. Again, it is complete sentence. Next one, in the garden as the robins fight and other eat. Now here again see, we need something to add after these words to complete its meaning, and as it is incomplete, it is subordinate clause. Other birds are eating in the garden, but the robins are fighting. Again, this is complete sentence. So you got the difference between dependent and independent clause. If the meaning of the sentence is complete, and if it is having one subject and predicate verb, then it will be called independent clause, or you can say main clause or principal clause. But if the group of words having subject and verb predicate and the meaning is not complete, it is incomplete, then it will be called dependent clause or subordinate clause. Now here are some subordinate conjunctions. So if there will be any subordinate clause, means if there will be any sentence whose meaning is not complete, then it needs some words to connect it to the main clause. So some conjunctions are given here. Now see, here it is written, try putting any of the above the words in front of Danny kicked the habit. Now it is saying that use any of the words from the list, from the box, before this sentence, like after Danny kicked the habit. Now we need something, it is incomplete, it needs something, and as it needs something, it's a subordinate clause. Means Danny kicked the habit, it is complete sentence, it is meaningful sentence, it is main clause. But if we add any of the conjunctions from the box, then it will become subordinate clause. So first way to connect any main clause with subordinate clause, we need to use any of the conjunctions. Second way, like see some examples. After Amy sneezed all over the tuna salad. Now it is again meaningless, we need something. So what happened? Did she eat it or throw it in the dustbin? Means what happened after that? If it is used, if here in the sentence after is used, then what happened afterwards? It is still not known. Until Adesh has his first cup of tea, again until is used. So what happened after that? Provided that the baby sleeps in the afternoon, then if the baby will sleep in the afternoon, then what will happen? So in all the sentences, we saw that if we have used subordinate clauses, all the red words, then the sentences become incomplete, and hence it needs something afterwards to complete its meaning. Now the first way to add any subordinate clause to main clause was using any subordinate conjunction, but there are other ways also. Like second one, when you place a subordinate clause in front of a main clause, we use comma like this. Means if we have to use any subordinate clause before main clause, then we have to use comma between them like this. When robins are fighting in the garden, other birds eat the food. Now other birds eat the food, it is complete sentence, so it is main clause. But while robins are fighting in the garden, here you can see while the subordinate conjunction is here, so it is subordinate clause. So if we use any main clause and subordinate clause in a sentence, then we need to separate it, and for separation comma is used. Another way is that when you place a subordinate clause at the end, you will generally use no punctuation like this. But if we have to use subordinate clause after the main clause, then in general way we don't use any punctuation, like Suzanne was late for her history exam because she missed her bus. Here you can see the blue word Suzanne was late for her history exam. It is complete, so it is independent clause. But because she missed her bus, here you can see because it is a subordinate conjunction, and as the sentence is starting with subordinate conjunction, hence it is subordinate clause. Means if we have to connect subordinate clause and main clause, there are three ways. First, using any subordinate conjunction, and then It can be done in two ways. Firstly, that we can use subordinate clause first and then the main clause, but for separating both of them we have to use comma in between them. But if we have to use subordinate clause after main clause, then generally we don't use any punctuation mark. So that's all for today. In the next video we'll discuss about the types of subordinate clauses. Thank you.